Hi, I'm Matt, and welcome to my latest gaming news video. I will be covering recent gaming news as well as some other gaming related things in this video. I'm grateful for any feedback, so if you feel the need to do so, please leave a comment below. You can also like and subscribe if you're enjoying my videos. And before I get into the news, I wanted to say thank you to everyone who has subbed so far. I'm now over 20 subscribers, so yeah, that's pretty cool. Uh, yeah, thank you. But yeah, now let's get into the gaming news. To start off, we'll be covering the recent Unity situation. This news dropped when I was recording my last video, so I didn't cover it last week, but we'll cover it in today's video. You probably already know what's happened, but just in case, I shall summarize it now. Basically, Unity has made the decision to charge game developers per game install, a change to their Unity runtime fee. So if you buy a game that is made in Unity on Steam or somewhere else, the developer will get charged per install on separate devices. Um, I believe there's some confusion about it being on the same device, but apparently it is separate device and per install. This fee will supposedly affect around 10% of Unity game developers, at least if we believe what Unity has said. I think a lot of people are, yeah, rightfully confused with the wording of statements coming from Unity the past week or so. This change in fees was going to take place in January 2024, or it looks like it is still going to take place, and would have an effect on game installs and sales from that time. Due to this new policy, game developers and gamers, among others in the industry, have come out to slam these proposed changes, and I'm glad they have. Looks like these fees could have a very dire impact on developers that use Unity to create their games, and the system seems like it could be exploited to harm devs. Apparently, a number of Unity employees also voiced their extreme concerns with this move, but their concerns were not heeded. Some game studios, including ones mid-development on their next games, have said that they will be switching from Unity to another engine. Some have also expressed that they are never going to use Unity again. Unity has come out and said that they will ensure no developers are wrongly charged for an install, such as in the case of piracy or other fraud. But I think most people are unsure how Unity will accomplish this. Unity also stated that if a game is downloaded and installed through Xbox Game Pass or PlayStation Plus, that the service provider, Xbox and Sony in this case respectively, for the aforementioned services will be charged instead of the game developer. I really can't see Microsoft or Sony being too happy about that. After widespread backlash, it is looking like Unity is going to revise the proposed fee policy changes, and I believe they said we will be getting an update on the situation soon. I can, yeah, definitely see many developers jumping ship due to these changes, and as I said, many seemingly already have or are planning to. Unity has lost a lot of community trust with this decision. Sort of how can you trust a company that springs us upon game studios without first getting feedback at least? They may walk these changes back, but you will likely always worry that they could do it again in the future. As of my last check, Unity looks like it will be revealing new plans soon. Those plans may already be out by the time this video goes up. A report from Bloomberg suggests that Unity may not reverse the policy entirely, but might put caps in place and allow developers to self-report installation data, though as of the time of me recording, this is not confirmed. And I'll likely follow this story up next week once we get another response from Unity. So far, however, Unity is really messed up on this one. Now onto some Microsoft and Xbox news. We have a fair bit of it this week, as there have been some rather interesting leaks you may have already noticed. These court document leaks have came about due to Microsoft's legal battle with the US Federal Trade Commission over whether they should be allowed to acquire Activision Blizzard. The first major leak is the year in which we can expect the next gen Xbox console to arrive. This first bit of info came about during a meeting held in May of 2022. This meeting was attended by Microsoft executives, including Phil Spencer, who is head of gaming at the company. When questioned, quote, is the plan for 2028 to keep that illegible redacted like model or force a Windows like flexible slash capabilities like model? This was answered by Kevin Gamble, Corporate Vice President of Gaming Ecosystems. He responded that, quote, "We have already started this journey with Xbox One and Xbox One X, furthering it in Series S and X. We need to be even more flexible going forward with Gen 10, but also provide the ability for creators to take advantage of unique hardware capabilities." Microsoft lawyers previously said that, quote, "The next new generation of consoles are not expected to be released before the fall of 2028 at the very earliest." The statement was provided by the lawyers to the UK's CMA last year as part of the CMA's legal battle with Microsoft over their acquisition of Activision Blizzard. A release date for the next-gen Xbox of no earlier than fall of 2028 seems reasonable to me, as the current-gen consoles would have been out for approximately 8 years by then. I certainly wouldn't be surprised if next-gen consoles were released in late 2028, including the next-gen console from Sony. I will, just to add this bit, I will cover the first two Xbox stories from today a bit deeper in my tech news video, as I'll talk more about the hardware side of things in those videos. So check that if you want more info, tech and hardware wise, including hardware specs, etc. But yeah, I will cover some of it now. I'll go into more of the tech side of things in that video. So the next bit of Xbox news is related to a supposed refresh of the current gen consoles, the Xbox Series X and S, and as I mentioned, I will cover the hardware details for the next gen Xbox and Xbox Series refreshes in my tech news video for this week, a bit more, cover the tech side of things a bit more, which is usually, that video is usually published the day after the gaming news video for the same week, so tomorrow it should be. But yeah, this is another leak coming due to Microsoft's recent FTC trial. I had covered that a mid-gen Xbox Series X and S refresh wasn't looking likely actually in a previous tech news video, I believe. But now, if these details are true, we could be looking at a refresh of both the Series X and S. I also put some leaked images up, though they are just renders from what I can tell. They could differ from the finished devices. The Series X refresh, codenamed Brooklyn, and that's spelled Brooklin, looks like it will be all digital, similar to the Series S, and has a slimmer cylindrical design, though it could differ from the release machine. And I will add that the digital-only branding has me a little concerned, as I know people do still like to use physical media. The Series X refresh is apparently going to release next October, and will have a 2 TB SSD, faster Wi-Fi 6E, and come bundled with a new redesigned Xbox controller, and should cost the same as the current Series X at around $500 if this is all true. The Series S refresh, codenamed Elwood, is going to be all digital, just like the current Series S model, and if the leaked images are the final looks for the device, it will be essentially identical to the current model looks wise. It will have a 1 TB SSD is standard, similar to the new Black Edition Series S, and also includes faster Wi-Fi and the new redesigned Xbox controller, and should also keep the same $300 pricing point of the current Series S, though I've seen them for much cheaper than that. I won't get into too much into the hardware side of things here, and to be honest, not too much was revealed, but it seems both refresh consoles will be focusing on power efficiency. Nothing was confirmed in regard to these consoles being more powerful. It looks like they will just be slim-like variants rather than fully updated hardware revisions. This is something that Phil Spencer referenced previously when he said that, quote, "As soon as you start doing mid-gen refreshes, you've got a bunch of issues in front of developers." So, unless I'm reading from the quote wrong and the multiple quotes wrong, it looks like these refreshes will not be updating the hardware, at least not the hardware that would boost gaming performance. This is seemingly in contrast to Sony's refresh approach. I've covered in a previous tech news video that a PS5 Pro might be coming next year, or maybe the following year, and this would have updated graphics hardware. At least that is what leaks are suggesting. If you want some more specs and hardware talk and speculation on these first two Xbox topics, definitely check my tech news video out, which should release tomorrow. I'll probably cover a bit the same stuff I've covered here, but with more focus on the specific hardware. The next bit of leaked Microsoft info has revealed that Bethesda is likely working on a couple remasters of its older games, among others. I will put the leaked ZeniMax management forecast screenshot up here. I had covered previously that an Elder Scrolls 6 Oblivion Remaster or Remake might be in the works of Bethesda, and now I have confirmation of this. It looks like it would be a remaster, not a remake. In the forecast, an Oblivion Remaster is noted in the financial year 2022 section, along with the Indiana Jones game, an Elder Scrolls Online expansion, and Starfield DLC. Just to add here before I continue, the forecast was created in July of 2020, and some games may seem in the wrong places, like Starfield being in the financial year 2021 section. So likely everything on this list has now been shifted a year or two, likely two, back, and some things are potentially cancelled entirely. But yeah, I'm certainly excited for an Oblivion remaster. I think that would be great if done right. I'd really like to go back to the game and play through with updated visuals, though I do think the original game holds up pretty well, especially with mods. In the next section, financial year 2023, there are 4 more projects, and these were Doom Year Zero and DLC, something called Project Kestrel, another Elder Scrolls Online expansion, and finally something called Project Platinum. I'm not sure what Project Kestrel or Platinum are. I suspect they're some unannounced games, maybe new IPs. I can't tell as of yet. Interestingly, Doom Year Zero looks like it might be the next mainline Doom game, and it does denote DLC. In the final section of the forecast, financial year 2024, there's some more sort of juicy information, I guess. We'll just list off each in order. Elder Scrolls 6, Project Kestrel expansion, licensed IP game, in quotes, that is the actual text. A Fallout 3 remaster, another Elder Scrolls Online expansion, a Ghostwire Tokyo sequel, Dishonored 3, and again another Doom Year Zero DLC. So yeah, Elder Scrolls 6 is mentioned, although recent rumours suggest that game won't release before 2026 at the earliest. You can see now how the forecast is definitely a couple years behind. Like the Oblivion remaster, I think a Fallout 3 remaster would be pretty cool. I'm almost certain I'd play through that again in a remastered form. Although, like I said, with Oblivion, Fallout 3 still holds up to me pretty well. Then there was the Dishonored 3 mentioned. That's definitely a game I'd like to see. I played the first Dishonored and really liked it. I haven't played the other two yet, but yeah, plan to do so at some point. And then finally, Doom Year Zero DLC. So it does look like Doom Year Zero is the name of the next Doom game, or at least its code name slash like internal designation. So yeah, that's an interesting list of potential remasters and new games coming. The next bit of Microsoft slash Xbox news regards a huge acquisition that the company was considering, even if said acquisition is highly unlikely to happen. This next bit is a bit quote heavy. The acquisition target, described by Phil Spencer as, quote, the prime asset, is actually Nintendo. Going by a leaked internal email in 2020, Phil Spencer said to Microsoft Executive Vice President and Chief Commercial Officer Takeshi Nomoto that Nintendo was a key acquisition target. I'll add a screenshot of the email here. We'll quote some things that Spencer has said in the email. Quote, Takeshi, I totally agree that Nintendo is the prime asset for us in gaming, and today gaming is our most likely path to consumer relevance. He continued, quote, I've had numerous conversations with Nintendo about tighter collaboration, and I feel like if any US company would have a chance with Nintendo, we are probably in the best position. The unfortunate or fortunate for Nintendo situation is that Nintendo is sitting on a big pile of cash. They have a board of directors that until recently has not pushed for further increases in market growth or stock appreciation. And I would say I find the next bit somewhat concerning. Quote, at some point, getting Nintendo would be a career moment, and I honestly believe a good move for both company. It's just taking a long time for Nintendo to see that their future exists off of their own hardware a long time. So end quote there. But yeah, I think this acquisition is extremely unlikely, and Microsoft may no longer be pursuing it. And that bit about Nintendo's future being off, quote, off of their own hardware, yeah, has me concerned. I think it would be good if Nintendo stayed its own separate entity. I think Nintendo having their own console hardware is overall a good thing for gaming as a whole. I wouldn't mind Microsoft taking that away, or any other company for that matter. But I will reiterate, I don't think this will happen. I think Nintendo is too wealthy and independent to allow it to happen. I would also like to note this, that It does mention in the Video Game Chronicle article that Microsoft tried to buy out Nintendo 20 years ago, but Nintendo, quote, laughed their asses off when approached by Microsoft with this offer. So yeah, I don't think it will happen. I think that the gaming industry having three big hardware manufacturers is a good thing, console manufacturers anyway. And if one were removed, I would mostly see that as being a bad thing. Sort of related, it was also revealed in one email that Microsoft were also considering an acquisition of Valve. I will quote a brief part of that email. Quote, our board of directors has seen the full write-up on Nintendo and Valve, and they are fully supportive on either if opportunity arises, as am I. Yeah, I think this would also be a bad thing if Microsoft were to purchase Valve, as that would give Microsoft a huge amount of control over the PC gaming market, as Steam is the biggest digital storefront on PC. Like the Nintendo purchase, I think that Microsoft successfully acquiring Valve to be an extremely unlikely thing. Now, before I move on from the Microsoft slash Xbox news, I did want to quickly cover Phil Spencer's response, as it does have implications for the Microsoft slash Xbox coverage from today and tomorrow. Phil Spencer tweeted while I was putting this video together, I will include the tweet here, that the leaked information is essentially out of date and that, quote, so much has changed. His entire tweet on X reads, quote, we've seen the conversation around old emails and documents. It's hard to see our team's work shared in this way because so much has changed and there's so much to be excited about right now and in the future. We will share the real plans when we are ready. As I did mention earlier, the leaked information we have gotten may differ from what is now planned, and Spencer has, I guess, said this is the case. Though I do suspect some of it could have changed. I'd be surprised if all of it did, except the time frame. The time frame definitely seems to have been pushed back a couple years, especially in regard to game releases. And yeah, as hardware in general is more set in stone, so to speak, I wouldn't expect the Xbox Series refresh and next gen Xbox info to differ that much from what was leaked. But I could be wrong. The next gen Xbox is still quite a bit away, so that would have be more open to change maybe. But yeah, we'll most likely find out more official info in time, as Phil referenced. Do think it's going to be an interesting couple of years on the gaming hardware front, especially in regard to consoles, with the potential switch to Steam Deck 2, Xbox Series refreshes, and the PS5 Pro coming, potentially, all of those coming. And just a quick Starfield update, actually, before we move away from Microsoft and Xbox. Starfield has now reached 10 million players, according to a recent tweet from Bethesda and the Starfield X account. I covered in a previous video how the game had reached 6 million players, but that has now grown to 10 million. That's a pretty impressive number. Interestingly, though, Forza Horizon 5 reached the same milestone in its first week, although, as the article does state, that game was released on the Xbox One consoles as well. It looks like Starfield did just beat Forza Horizon 5 in games sales, however. This is when Game Pass is taken out of the equation, so pure sales, not Game Pass downloads. I will say I'm still playing Starfield, as you can likely tell by the background gameplay, and I'm still enjoying it. I think it's a pretty good game. And yeah, I will say I understand why some people aren't that keen on it. I have had some issues with the game, and some things I've just noticed with the game that were a bit off, but generally I am enjoying it. I do think it's a good game, for me anyway, in my opinion. But yeah, I can definitely see why some people aren't too bothered about it. That's the Microsoft Xbox topics covered. Now onto the rest of the gaming topics. I do want to cover Liza P reception briefly, as it's a game I'm quite interested in and it is now out. The game does seem to be scoring quite well so far on Metacritic. Liza P has scores of 82, 84, and 81 on the PC, PS5, and Xbox Series X respectively. User score wise, it is scoring 7.4, 8.4, and 8.8 on the PC, PS5, and Xbox Series X respectively. Bit of a range there, not quite sure why. As for Steam, it does seem to be doing rather well there too. It has a very positive review rating on Steam, with 88% of all user reviews being positive out of around 2,500 reviews as of the time of checking. In summary, we've seen that Liza P is doing pretty well and looks to be a good game. I'm looking forward to eventually giving it a go. Bit of sad news next. The studio that developed the recently released Immortals of Aveum, Ascendant Studios, has laid off around 45% of their workforce. Almost half the studio is quite a sizable chunk of people. The tweet by CEO Brett Robbins should be on screen now. Brett said in the tweet, quote, "Today we are heartbroken as we part ways with friends and colleagues at Ascendant Studios, about 45% of our team out of the team. This was a painfully difficult but necessary decision that was not made lightly. Nevertheless, we have to make this adjustment now that Immortals of Aveum has shipped." He continued, quote, "We are supporting those affected in every way we can, including comprehensive severance packages and job placement assistance, as support for those who remain. If your studio is looking for proven UE5 artists and engineers, please reach out and let us know so we can introduce you to some incredibly talented game devs," end quote. He continued, but I didn't want to go over the entire piece here as it is a bit lengthy. But yeah, definitely pause the video if you want to read the entire thing, or check the IGN article or the tweet directly. Going by what was said in the article, which was originally reported by Polygon, the details were anyway Polygon. The layoffs were due to Immortals of Avium's poor sales, and if this decision wasn't made, then the studio may have actually closed. I will say I'm not too surprised by this news, given that the game received fairly average review scores, and from the reviews I watched, it didn't look like that great of a game, though I did hear that combat was at least quite decent. Also, I feel there wasn't a lot of buzz surrounding the game. I barely heard much about it before or during release, even though the game had a supposedly expensive marketing campaign behind it. Just to mention as well, the game only peaked at 751 players on Steam, which is really bad for a new AAA game. When I checked, the game had a 24-hour peak, when I checked recently, 24-hour peak of only 50 players. The game actually didn't score too bad on Steam, with 72% of all reviews being positive. But again, that was from less than 500 reviews. So yeah, all these numbers, metrics that are really low. This is more evidence that the game sold really badly. This is, yeah, a really bad situation for the devs who have lost their jobs, and I do wish them the best in finding a new job in the gaming industry or wherever they choose to go next. It's good that the studio is providing support for them as well. Hopefully that helps them find new employment, and yeah, best of luck to them. Hopefully they, yeah, move swiftly into new employment. Now for some really cool news actually. It's been announced that the first 3 Tomb Raider games, the classic original games, are being remastered. The Remaster Collection is set to release on the 14th of February 2024. I will include the reveal trailer footage here. As this will be a remaster opposed to a remake, the games should keep the feel of those original games and will include all the expansions and secrets that were in the video in the originals. So that's good to know. Won't be changing too much. The remasters will allow players to toggle rendering on the fly to either have the original polygonal graphics, or the remastered visuals, similar to some other games, like the older Halo games when played through the Master Chief Collection. I do still like the polygonal look of the original Tomb Raider games, but the updated visuals do look quite good, and the visual switch option is a great feature. We'll wait to see how the collection is received, and if reviewers are saying that it's good, then I will likely pick it up. I do enjoy the Tomb Raider games. I have wanted to go back and play the older ones. I've played a bit of the first 3, but never completed them. I might for this release. I might wait for this release to release before playing the original 3. Just to add, there was a remake of the first Tomb Raider. This was called Tomb Raider Anniversary, and I played a bit of it. I thought it was quite good, and I wouldn't mind 2 and 3 getting the anniversary achievement. But if we just get these remasters, I'm sort of okay with that. But yeah, it would be cool if they got a full remake like Anniversary. But yeah, at least we're getting the remasters, which is cool. And the Tomb Raider 1 to 3 remastered collection, as I said, it's coming on February 14th, 2024, and will be releasing on PC, Xbox Series X and S, PS5 and 4, as well as the Nintendo Switch. So yeah, definitely be looking forward to that and seeing how it turns out and is received. A bit of an update, something I had previously covered, and that is NBA 2K24 next, and its Steam reviews. The game was the second worst reviewed game on Steam, only behind Overwatch 2, which released on Steam at the beginning of August. But now NBA 2K24 is reviewed worse on Steam than Overwatch 2, and thus takes the title of worst reviewed game on Steam. The game has an overwhelmingly negative rating on Steam, with only 8% of reviews being positive, and this was from around 60 to 100 user reviews when I checked. For comparison, Overwatch 2, when going by all reviews, only has 10% of user reviews being positive and 13% of recent reviews being positive. I won't get into this too much, as I covered this sort of the reasons for it in my last gaming news video, I believe. But it would seem that the terrible review rating for NBA 2K24 is due to the game's little improvement over the last game in the franchise and its PC port, with the PC port being based on the last gen console version of the game. I wasn't expecting it to become the worst review game on Steam, although I'm not overly surprised that it has. Just a quick news story before we move into the upcoming games. GTA 5 has now turned 10 years old. GTA 5 originally released back on the Xbox 360 and PS3 in September of 2013, specifically the 17th of September. The following year, 2014, it released on the Xbox One and PS4, and finally released to the PC in 2015. It has also received current gen ports more recently as well. So yeah, GTA 5 is now 10. I've played the game a fair bit, but not for a few years. I waited to get the game on PC. I only briefly played it before then when I played it at a friend's place. I think it's still a good game, but yeah, I haven't played it in a while, as I said. I never really played GTA Online, as the PC I had at the time kept having issues running the online component. I maybe could have found a solution, but in the end I gave up and never went back to it. So I ended up just playing a bunch of the single player, the base game, and with all sorts of mods. Pretty wild though that it's been 10 years and we still haven't got official confirmation of GTA 6 from Rockstar, though we know it's definitely in development. From what I can tell, GTA 6 is likely a year or two away from release at this point, and I'm sure I'll cover that game when it is announced. But yeah, just thought I'd add this bit in, as I thought it was a quick piece of interesting news. Now onto the upcoming game section. I've got a few interesting games to cover in this week's upcoming game section, including some fun sim games. Seem to be covering a lot of those lately. Although, yeah, generally it does seem to be a quieter week when compared to the previous 2 weeks. As always, there will be footage and images of the games covered. First up in today's upcoming games section is actually a big one. More specifically, a big expansion slash DLC, and it is Phantom Liberty, the first and likely only expansion that we'll see for Cyberpunk 2077. I've covered Phantom Liberty a couple times in my gaming and tech news videos. I guess it isn't technically a new game, but it is a very extensive expansion for a big game. Going by what CD Projekt Red have said, Phantom Liberty will be a large overhaul to the game, along with the 2.0 update. And the 2.0 update is free. The Phantom Liberty expansion is not. Phantom Liberty will be adding a number of things, including a new spy thriller story, a new area called Dogtown, a new skill tree, a new tech, cyberware vehicles, and weapons, along with improvements to AI, including a revamped police system and AI. Haven't played Cyberpunk yet. I really do want to get into it at some point, though that might be a while, as I'm going to be deep in Starfield for the foreseeable future. I do have Cyberpunk on Steam actually, and may pick up Phantom Liberty when I get around to playing it finally. Maybe it'll be on deal by then, I don't know. Cyberpunk 2077's Phantom Liberty expansion is releasing on the 26th of September, and the Cyberpunk 2.0 update should have released by now. It was scheduled to come out on the 21st of September, I believe. The DLC, along with the 2.0 update, are only coming to current gen consoles and the PC, from what I can tell. The second game in today's upcoming games is the latest in the long-running franchise, and that game is Harvest Moon Winds of Anthos. I haven't played any of the Harvest Moon games. I have watched the odd YouTube video on the older ones. Other than that, I don't know too much about them. They also go by the Story of Seasons moniker in some regions and for some releases. The original game, simply titled Harvest Moon, or Farm Story, I think, released in 1996 for the SNES in Japan. and later coming to North America and Europe in 1997 and 1998 respectively. So yeah, the franchise has been around for a while at this point. The franchise is a very popular one. Gumball have heard about the game. They're essentially farming simulation RPG games and have released on most consoles over the years. They originally started as 2D games. I will put up some images. Akin sort of to the Pokemon games, but like the Pokemon games moved to 3D graphics eventually. I would like to try one of these games, one of the Harvest Moon games. I think I probably would try one of the older ones first, but this new one, yeah, it does look cool. Graphically, it's in 3D and looks quite nice with a colourful aesthetic. This new game is also a farming sim slash life sim game with RPG elements similar to the other Harvest Moon games. Just to add, these games usually seem to have a story as well, so it's not just farming sim stuff, there is an actual story. The description for the game reads, quote, explore the wide world of Anthos with the help of your wacky inventor friend Dr. Junior and many others. It'll be up to you to revive the harvest goddess and the harvest sprites, as well as reconnect all of the villagers of Anthos with each other. Farm all around Anthos using the improved Expando farm. Harvest Moon Winds of Anthos is releasing on the 26th of September. There are a bunch of games today actually releasing on the 26th, but anyway, it will be coming to PC, current and last gen consoles, and the Nintendo Switch. Next up is another farming sim slash life sim game. I feel like, yeah, as I said, I've covered a load of these the past couple months. But yeah, that's cool. There's some of them actually really interesting. This next one is Paleo Pines. You may have guessed by the name that Paleo Pines has prehistoric animals, notably dinosaurs in it. As mentioned, it is a farming sim, and graphically it does look similar to the previous game, Harvest Moon, Winds of Anthos, and in some ways it has a similar design style and colour palette. But both games look unique in their own ways. Both games look quite appealing, especially if you like vibrant colour palettes. Some might describe the art style as relaxing or cozy. Gameplay in Paleo Pines does seem somewhat different though, as you'll be tending to your farms and doing other things with the help of a dinosaur companion. And yeah, I assume you can have multiple companions if you wish. It does sound like you have a main companion though called Lucky, though befriending other dinosaurs does seem to be a major gameplay element, and there are a bunch of different species you can do this to. The description for Paleo Pines reads, quote, welcome to Paleo Pines, a charming island known for its friendly dinosaurs, quirky townsfolk, and mysterious past. Befriend dinos and enlist their help to fix up your ranch and farm crops to create cozy dino sanctuary. Then set out with your companion, Lucky, to uncover the island's secrets. I do like the look and sound of this game. Might give it a go someday. I've mentioned this a number of times. I would like to give one of these sort of chilled out farming games a go in the future. Paleo Pines is releasing on the 26th of September and is going to release on the PC, current and last gen consoles, as well as the Switch. There is also a demo for the game on Steam, but from what I can tell, not on other platforms. Next up, another game I've covered a few times, and that is Gothic. Gothic is, interestingly, coming to the Nintendo Switch as Gothic Classic. It seems that this is a port of the original game, and going by what THQ Nordic has said, the only major changes are fixes to the game. Everything else should be the same, which is good. Gothic is a classic PC RPG, and it's cool to see it coming to newer consoles. I believe this is the only console version of Gothic 1 available. Even after all these years, it still has a sizable fan base, and it is considered a really good game. I do have it on GOG and plan to give it a play sometime. Graphically, it's not as high fidelity as RPGs today. It did come out in 2001, but I think it actually looks quite nice. I do like the dark graphics of the PC console games from Gothic's era. There's something sort of atmospheric about them. Graphically, it kind of reminds me of Rune, a classic PC game I've played through and which released the previous year. From the reviews I watched for Gothic, it does seem like a very deep game with a lot of content, especially for its time. There's usual RPG things like sword fighting, spellcasting, archery, monster slaying, and questing among other things. And the game has a rather unique story. Involved you being stuck in a prison colony and having to go from lowly prisoner to hero. The game also has a quote living world where people go to work, sleep, eat, and fight to survive. As far as I know, things are constantly going on around you, whether you're there or not. So it's a game where the world is constantly changing. Not literally the map or anything, but NPCs go about their day and have daily routines, life cycles, and so on. The game can be quite difficult from what I've seen, but not too bad once you get used to it. The main things I've heard is that the controls can take time to get used to, as there are a ton of them. I do wonder how well this will translate over to the Switch. I'd imagine Piranha Bytes, the developer, will have figured it out. One thing to note is that Piranha Bytes are actually the original developers of the Gothic series, so it's good to know they're doing the port. The Gothic 1 remake is another game I've covered a couple of times, and this is a complete remake of the game. Looks like it might be releasing later this year or sometime next year, and although it isn't being developed by Piranha Bytes, I'm really looking forward to the remake. However, hopefully it's good. But yeah, back to Gothic Classic. So yeah, if you've got a Switch, this might be a good time to give the old classic that is Gothic a go. Gothic Classic is releasing on the 28th of September and is coming solely to the Nintendo Switch. Maybe if it does well, we could see it come to other consoles. As you might expect, the game is also available on PC from GOG and Steam, the original game. Now for a quirky looking game, and that game is Pizza Possum. This game is an arcade style hide and seek action game. You play as the titular possum and you must steal food while avoiding getting caught by guard dogs. Graphically, it looks quite nice and cartoony with a sort of pastel colour palette, though it does have some vibrant colours as well. Graphical design fits the game quite well, and it looks kind of artsy, kind of nice. Gameplay involves you trying to rob food and eat as much of it as you can, while trying to avoid being caught. It looks as though there are a number of different food items, with pizza being the most coveted by the possum you're playing as. Seems like this would be a good local co-op or party game to play with others, and two-player local co-op is in fact is a feature of the game. You can use different tools to accomplish your objective, including smoke bombs and punching gloves, among other items. And the possum you control also makes a lot of noise apparently, and will scream and giggle as well as taunt their enemies. I believe in real life possums can get quite loud and noisy, so that fits, I guess. The description reads, quote, Pizza Possum is a short and sweet arcade experience where your goal is to eat as much food as you can without getting caught. An adorable mix of wholesome and mischievous. You hide and seek your way through the village, alone or with a friend, using items and bushes to maneuver your way around the patrolling guard dogs. Get to the top of the village, eat the massive pizza, and steal the crown from the dog leader's head. Pizza Possum releases on the 28th of September and is releasing on the PC as well as current gen consoles and the Switch. There was a demo for the game, but as I can tell, it's no longer available. It does seem a pretty cool game. If you like these type of fast-paced hide and seek games, maybe check Pizza Possum out. The final game in today's upcoming games section is Cocoon. Cocoon is an adventure puzzle platformer with a very unique look, actually. I don't generally play many puzzle games, but Cocoon does have me intrigued, especially with that art design. It really stands out. Graphically, quite unique, but does remind me of some other games. It kind of looks Journey-esque in some ways, although I also prefer the look of Cocoon's stylized art direction. The puzzles do seem to be a large part of the game, with, quote, a unique take on the puzzle adventure genre, where each world exists within an orb that you can carry on your back. Wrap your head around the core mechanic of leaping between worlds and combine, manipulate, and rearrange them to solve intricate puzzles. It does sound, quite cool. I'm not into puzzle games, as I said, although I wouldn't mind giving this a go. Um, it does seem rather distinctive from a gameplay perspective, and exploration features prominently by the looks, which is good. This is the first game from the game developer Geometric Interactive, which was co-founded by Jep Carlson. He was the lead gameplay designer on Limbo and Inside, two games I've not played but I've heard they're good. If you liked those games, this might be a game to check out. Cocoon is 3D isometric, while Limbo and Inside were 2D. Cocoon is releasing this month, September 29th, and is coming to PC, current and last gen consoles, and the Switch. The game is also discounted by 20% until the 13th of October. So yeah, that's cool if you plan on getting the game. I did look, and this discount appears to be exclusive to Steam, at least before release. It may be discounted elsewhere upon release, but I'm not sure. And now to the game deal section, which I did mention in last week's gaming news video that I will be reducing my game deal sections. And that is still the plan, although I'm not entirely certain yet how the section will look going forward. Likely I'll make standalone gaming deal videos in the future, but I'll cover some brief deals now. But yeah, the section will be much shorter than in previous news videos. The first deal is for a game that had a really rough launch, and that game is Marvel's Avengers. This game isn't one I'd usually recommend you get, as it has mixed reviews on Steam still, but the game is currently 90% off until the 30th of September. And the news here is that the game will be entirely delisted from online storefronts after that date. So if you want to pick up the game for super cheap, just in case, this might be a good time. Looks like it is getting wiped from digital storefronts because Square Enix no longer wants to support the game and its live service based nature anymore. I actually really can't believe how badly they messed this game up. Why make it a live service game? They maybe could have followed the route Insomniac took with Marvel Spider-Man, but they didn't. Or at the very least, they could have took inspiration from that game, or series of games now. I have to say I wouldn't recommend Marvel's Avengers, but at 90% off it might be okay, just for the single player campaign, or maybe not. I haven't played the game. I might pick it up just to experience it. Looks as though Marvel's Avengers is discounted on all digital storefronts, though the degree of discount varies. I did notice there were a number of deals on the Xbox Store this week, including The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt Complete Edition, Dragon Age Inquisition Game of the Year Edition, Red Dead Redemption 2, Batman Arkham games, and the Dark Souls games, and the Middle-earth Shadow War, among others. If you're interested in those, check them out, though I will add that Xbox doesn't say when these deals end, as far as I can tell, so they could end by the time this video's out, I'm not sure. I just thought I'd sort of add this in. There are also some deals on the PlayStation Store, notably for Marvel's Spider-Man Remaster and the original Game of the Year edition version, as well as Miles Morales. And also discounted is Hogwarts Legacy and Resident Evil 4, Resident Evil Village, A Plague Tale Requiem, The Last of Us Part 1 and 2, as well as a number more. The discounts for some of these games aren't huge, but a discount is a discount, I guess. And Sony does provide dates of when these deals should end, with most ending on the 27th of September. Now, yes, some of those games are also discounted on Steam and other platforms. But just want to say a notable Steam deal is Planet Zoo, which is 70% off until the 26th of September. Have the game, and it is very well reviewed on Steam. So if you like zoo tycoon / simulation games like I do, then this might be a good time to get it. So yeah, before I wrap the video up, I have a new type of spotlight. The spotlight for this video isn't a YouTube video, but 2 IGN articles. I think that going forward I will include articles and other media to spotlight in this section, as well as YouTube videos, as I have been doing. The articles this week are two Tomb Raider IGN articles. The first article is titled "How to Play the Tomb Raider Games in Chronological Order," with a subheading of "Tomb Raider Timelines Explained." The second article is titled "Every IGN Tomb Raider Game Review," with a subheading of "Lara Croft Reigning Tomb Since 1996." Both are quite interesting reads and give some interesting info, especially if you're a Tomb Raider fan, including game summaries and summaries from IGN reviews for all the Tomb Raider games from Tomb Raider 1 1996 to Shadow of the Tomb Raider 2018. If this isn't the sort of spotlight you like, let me know. If it is, then that's great, and I will likely feature more articles during these sections in the future. As I said, though, I will still include video spotlights, but I just thought that this would change things like a bit and be a bit more interesting. I'm not sure. And yeah, as always, they will be linked in the description, both of these articles. So that's all the game coverage from me today. I will be publishing a tech news video tomorrow, so check back for that if you're interested. And yeah, as always, feedback is appreciated, so go ahead and like or dislike and leave a comment. If you enjoy my videos and commentary, feel free to subscribe. Thank you for watching, and I'll be back again soon.